Hey everybody, it's Dr. Reiser. If you like what you see in our videos, make sure you click subscribe so that you don't miss out on any future videos about functional medicine, nutrition, and tips on how to reclaim your health the easy way with Functional Health Center of the Carolinas. Hey everybody, it's Dr. Reiser. It's another Whiteboard Wednesday and it's coming to the end of February, which is Heart Health Awareness Month. We've been doing videos all month about heart health, and today I'm going to finish it up by talking more about cholesterol and what specifically you need to know about your cholesterol that is the actual risk marker. And that risk marker is going to be right here behind me, and that is the lipid particle number. So we all know about HDL cholesterol, the good cholesterol. We all know about LDL cholesterol, meaning your bad cholesterol. And we all know that you don't want your cholesterol too high. Well, what if I were to tell you that all that is, bullcrap? Well, you might say, well, my doctor tells me all the time that I don't want high cholesterol. Well, unfortunately, I disagree with a lot of the doctors that are touting cholesterol as the end-all, be-all as far as your heart attack risk. There are multiple risk markers for heart attack, and just having cholesterol high, is not the only risk factor. In fact, the majority of people that have heart attacks, about 40 to 50%, have normal cholesterol. I'm going to link to a study in my caption today about a UCLA study where they took a lot of people that were having heart attacks at UCLA, and it accounted for a lot of the people in the United States that were having heart attacks, and every single one of those people that had a heart attack had normal bad cholesterol and normal cholesterol. The people that had high LDL or bad cholesterol didn't have heart attacks. So what is the real risk factor and what is cholesterol? We've talked about it before, but let's talk about lipid particle number. You've probably never even heard of it, or particle size for that matter. So I've drawn here a little blood vessel, but I'm gonna get it a little bit bigger so that we can actually talk about this. So let's erase this. And so what we're gonna look at today is going to be inside of your blood vessel. What is actually happening inside your blood vessel, and why do they think cholesterol is the biggest problem inside the blood vessel? So let's take a look. You have a large blood vessel here. You're transporting things all through the blood, and cholesterol is going to be obviously one of those things that you transport. Cholesterol is important for a lot of things. Mainly, you have to make all your other hormones from it. So your testosterone, your estrogens, your progesterones is for a female. You have to make these hormones from cholesterol. 5% of cholesterol, or 5% of your brain is cholesterol. Your body requires this, okay? So you need cholesterol. So those of you that get on statins and lower it all the way down, no wonder you don't have any kind of cognition, you have brain fog, you feel little to no energy. These are the main issues. So cholesterol is important, that's why we don't want to lower it too much. And cholesterol can be protective. But what happens inside here? So you have cholesterol floating around, but HDL and LDL are not cholesterol. So let me repeat. HDL and LDL are not cholesterol. HDL and LDL are what are called lipoproteins, okay? And then you have a lipid particle. So let's look at this. A lipid particle can look like this. It'll be represented by a box. And that lipid particle will transport, let's say, your LDL lipoprotein with cholesterol attached to it. And let's just look at that and show it as blue. So this lipid particle is what's actually transporting around the cholesterol. And let's say a normal number of cholesterol in your bloodstream, according to this diagram, is 2. And a lipid particle number for you would be 1. So the lipid particle carries the cholesterol and the lipoproteins, LDL, around your bloodstream. It takes it to where it needs to be. Your LDL cholesterol is actually cholesterol you're taking to places in your body that need it. Let's say it's your brain or your hormones. HDL cholesterol is what's taking the cholesterol back to your liver for the liver to get rid of. All right, so that's why they termed it good and bad, because the LDL takes it out, HDL takes it back in. But this lipid particle, this little square here, the square is what takes everything out around the body. Now, this lipid particle is not just one size fits all. You can have multiple, let me get it up here on the diagram. You can have multiple LDLs in here, okay? So let's say we pop 8 LDL cholesterols in there, okay? So this person would then have high LDL cholesterol and a low lipid particle. They are actually at low risk for heart attack. Why is that? So we have to actually look at this as it floats around. Cholesterol is encapsulated in a lipid particle. The only time cholesterol would actually consider to be damaging to any kind of blood vessel is if it runs into the wall or is absorbed into the wall that creates the plaquing that we're used to. We hear plaquing, we hear blockage of arteries. That's what causes heart attacks. Well, as we can see here, you can have multiple numbers of LDL cholesterol inside one particle and nothing's going to hit the side or be absorbed into the side of that blood vessel. But what happens if you have multiple particles? So let's say we have the same number of LDL cholesterol, 8, just like we had in the last one. So let's disperse these around here. Okay, so now we have the same amount of LDL cholesterol. This LDL cholesterol could be considered high, okay? And now we need to have multiple particles floating around to take care of these because now they're all spread out. Maybe there's other underlying factors that are causing more LDL or more lipid particles, and I'm going to get to those in a second. But let's put those in. So as you can see, now we have 4 lipid particles to the 8 LDL cholesterols. So we have the same number that we had in the last individual, but we now have more particles. And as you can see, it gets a little crowded in here. What will then occur is because of how crowded this is, and you can see in the top right here, we have now run into the side of this blood vessel. So the cholesterol is not damaging the blood vessel. The particle that is transporting it is actually damaging the blood vessel. The blood vessel would then absorb this, and this creates a plaque on the side of the blood vessel. So here's where it gets interesting. This person has high cholesterol and high particle number. They are at risk for heart attack and stroke due to any kind of plaquing. The person before had high LDLs, and they didn't have any kind of heart attack risk because their particle number was normal. But what happens if this is occurring? What happens if we have the normal number of cholesterol but we're transporting the normal number of cholesterol with multiple particles? So now we have normal cholesterol. We have this 2 LDL in our blood vessel, but we're requiring your body to have 2 particles transported around. This will then cause a plaque. So this person can have normal LDL cholesterol and total cholesterol, have no idea that they're at a high heart attack risk because their particle number is high. This is one of the most common themes you will see in medicine. This person is on a statin, lowering their LDL cholesterol and their total cholesterol into normal range, but their heart attack risk is still high because they're still plaquing. This study at UCLA confirmed this. They showed that these people with these heart attacks were not actually having high cholesterol. Cholesterol was not causing the heart attack. Particle size and particle number, the amount of particles carrying the cholesterol, was to blame. That's what was damaging the walls of the blood vessels, not the LDL cholesterol itself. And that's why even people that have normal or low cholesterol are having half of the heart attacks and strokes, okay? So what happens and why do particles start to go up even if the cholesterol is normal? Well, one thing, and we need to be very aware of this, and because it is another risk factor in itself, is because not only do these lipid particles transport cholesterol, they also transport triglycerides. And so the higher your triglycerides go, the more particles you will produce. And you can sit there, and I know some of you watching this probably have normal cholesterol panels, but have high triglycerides. Every time a triglyceride is produced as a fat in the bloodstream, you have to produce a particle to take it through the blood vessel. That is why triglycerides, for me and for many physicians that are doing research, are trying to tell people that this is the actual risk. Particle number, particle size, triglycerides. Other things that raise up the amount of particles in the bloodstream are going to be things like insulin resistance, cortisol rhythm being off, excess estrogen, low testosterone in men, homocysteine, C-reactive protein. All of these would be considered risk factors for heart disease, and they're all tied into how many particles you make. So if you actually want to know your heart attack risk in regards to cholesterol, a cholesterol panel, you must know your lipid particle number and your lipid size. The easiest way to do this is to get an NMR lipid panel because it will show both. It will also show you your lipoprotein A, which is something that we've talked about before. So this is really how any kind of plaquing in an artery starts, okay? And that's why you have many cardiologists. There's been some pretty famous documentaries out there that have shown, and they've talked about, for years I was a cardiologist and I was opening people up that had, doing surgery on people, investigating their arteries and veins, and I saw that they had high cholesterol and I was expecting to find plaquing. And when in reality, they didn't. And that's because even though they had high cholesterol, everything else that is concerned with their lipid particle number was low, so they kept their particle numbers low, they kept the plaquing low. So don't be afraid if your cholesterol happens to be 220 and your LDLs are 130 and they're screaming at you to go on a statin. You need to talk to your doctor and educate them and yourself and say, okay, what are all of my risk factors? Do I have high blood pressure? Am I a smoker? Do I have diabetes? Do I have high triglycerides? Do I have hormonal problems? Do I have issues with cortisol? What is my lipid particle number? If you can go down that list and strike off of almost all of them and you're left with only high cholesterol, chances are you're probably not going to have a heart attack, and you can avoid taking a statin drug that is going to make you more likely to develop type 2 diabetes, dementia, have muscle pains, kidney issues. And so that is the real story on cholesterol. The one thing you need to figure out is your lipid particle number and your lipid size. So I hope this video helped you out and explained it a little bit easier. And most people, they don't know what cholesterol is, but cholesterol is a steroid in alcohol. It is pushed through the bloodstream using lipid particles, and that being high is the #1 risk factor for heart disease and stroke.